The living Buddha often tells people that his Dharma name is wondrous virtue. So why does he have the honorific title, Living Buddha? I have paid attention to this matter and inquired about it. According to the monks and lay people who know the living Buddha, there are different stories, and each one of them is interesting. According to one saying, when the living Buddha lived in the Gold Mountain, he was originally an outlander who served as an incense and lantern staff in the sutra building. He didn't like to talk. He only preferred to sit in meditation, and he liked to climb on the windowsill to meditate. People told him that it was too dangerous to sit on the windowsill, but he said, "I want to subdue the demon of sleep." One day, he was meditating on the windowsill. When having a moment of drowsiness, he tumbled over and fell. When people saw him falling from the windowsill, they all screamed, "Oh, terrible, that will kill him." When everyone looked closely, he was not tumbled, but still sitting on the ground with his legs crossed. He saw everyone gathered around him and immediately got up, patting the dust on his butt. He laughed and ran upstairs. When seeing this, everyone thought it was a miracle. The windowsill of the sutra building was more than tens of meters above the ground, and the ground was paved with stone slabs. However, instead of being falling to his death or injury, he was safely sitting cross-legged on the ground. Some people said that only the living Buddha has this magic power, so everyone called him the living Buddha. This kind of legend is the majority. Another saying, not far outside the Gold Mountain Temple, there is a small street, and there are dozens of poor families living in the street. In one of the families, there was an old widow who lived in a house with only a mother and son. But the son was ungrateful and unfilial, treating his mother as a servant, scolding and bullying her from time to time. When the neighbors saw how disobedient the son was, they all pitied the widow. When the living Buddha knew this, he became compassionate and went to the widow's house from time to comfort her and explain to her the truth of karma and reincarnation. Nonetheless, when the unfilial son saw that the monk often went to his house, he was so disgusted that one day he had the evil intention of making a fool of the monk. He quietly took his mother's toilet out and hid behind the door. When the living Buddha came out of the door, he unobtrusively poured the toilet over the living Buddha's head. A bucket of urine and feces drenched all over the living Buddha, but he was not bothered. Instead, he ran to the street with the toilet on his head, which caused a sensation. Some people clapped and laughed, while others felt sad and said it was too much. It was not until the living Buddha ran to the river in front of the Golden Mountain Temple that he took off the toilet. Seeing his embarrassing shape, everyone laughed heartily. The living Buddha said carelessly, "What's so funny about it? A person is a large toilet, and a small toilet is on top of a big toilet, which is nothing unusual. It's not worth making a fuss." Someone asked him, "Monk, do you feel upset?" The living Buddha said, "I am not upset at all. It is this man who has compassion on me and poured the refined cheese on my head to awaken me. I feel at ease actually." Everyone was astonished and sighed. If he was not a living Buddha, how could anyone have such a big heart of endurance? Hence, the local people fell over each other to broadcast the event and said, "We have a living Buddha here." Because he is a monk from the Gold Mountain Temple, everyone called him the Gold Mountain Living Buddha. After fooling with the living Buddha, that disobedient son saw that the living Buddha actually put up with him and did not care about it. He felt very ashamed and went to the living Buddha to offer an apology for his sins and ask for repentance. The living Buddha also joyfully accepted his confession and said to the rebellious son, "The grace of parenting is as great as a mountain." The Buddha said, if a man bears his father on his left shoulder and his mother on his right shoulder for 100 years and provides them with the most precious food and clothing in the world, he cannot repay the kindness of a moment. Your parents have brought you up with so much effort and energy, but you cannot make your mother happy at all times. Instead, you scold and bully her. As such an unfilial son, excuse me, what are you based on to be a human? After hearing these words, the rebellious son came to his senses and knelt before the living Buddha, crying and shedding tears, "Shame on me. I deserve to die. The living Buddha comforted him. It's not too late, if you come to your senses. From now on, if you are filial to your mother, all your past mistakes can be forgiven. The rebellious son was touched by the living Buddha and transformed to be a filial son. Later, both mother and son converted to the living Buddha and became disciples of the Buddha. Local people were discussing this matter. If not for the living Buddha, how could an unfilial son become a filial son? This is also the origin of the title Living Buddha. I think it is no coincidence that Master Wondrous Virtue is called the Living Buddha, for he must have had a special miraculous manifestation. His behavior and ability are similar to that of the legendary Jigong Living Buddha in the novel, which is why people call him the Living Buddha.